Quick fire information from the Ranveer show. This is our highlights channel, TRS Clips. Subscribe and enjoy the video. I do have so many other questions about kind of more esoteric things about the temples. I know you have like this whole intuitive side. We were talking about palm reading on the outside. And at the cost of asking a slightly personal question, have you had like a spiritual childhood or teenage which allows you to be this kind of fascinated, naturally fascinated by these temples? Like, do you understand them on a deeper level?
I don't know how I got this perspective, but I grew up in temples, so
Okay.
this gave me a huge advantage because I grew up inside temples. So all the Hindu temples in Tamil Nadu, they close around 11 o'clock in the morning, and then they only open up at like 5 o'clock. So between 11 to 5, nobody's allowed inside the temple, and the temples are huge. Okay, the temples are not just one shrine or something like this. It'll take you maybe an like half hour to walk around. They're big temples. So I had the opportunity to be inside the temple
Hmm.
from 11 to 5 when nobody was there. Um, so I used to spend a lot of time inside the temples, talking. Like I was very young. I was maybe 6, 7 years old at that time. And this happened between 6 to 10 years old. So I would go to the gods and I would kind of talk to them, right? Because when you're that young, you're basically like looking at a character in TV
Yeah.
and you're talking to them. So it's very interesting to me saying that why is this God carved this way, right? And there are many different things. Like so, there's one God called Deaf God. This is called Chandikeswara. I don't know if you have heard of this. It used to be there in the North Indian temples too, and unfortunately, all these things are gone now. But if you go to Tamil Nadu, you'll find a god called Chandikesa in one of the shrines, and this will be the last deity you see before you get out of the temple, and everybody will do this to this god because he cannot hear you. So that's why he's called the deaf god. So everybody will kind of clap at him or do this sometimes. So as a child, I used to wonder why are there so many gods and why are they all designed this way? Um, some of them definitely have a spiritual aspect to them. I mean, it should not be a coincidence. Um,
What do you mean?
there are the gods are classified into different ways. The gods are classified into different levels, right? Some people argue that, oh, the sun god, the Surya,
Hmm.
right? Some people argue as though you guys worship sun as a god. They almost think that ancient Hindus did not understand that sun is a huge ball of fire. In fact, we knew all of that, right? So who are the two wives of the sun? Right? Do you know? Okay.
Assuming it's the moon.
No, no.
Okay.
The moon is also a man. So actually,
Oh,
in
really?
yeah, yeah, Chandra
Okay.
is also a man. So it'd be like Chaya and Sandhya, right? So, but again, these are just personifications. One of them denotes, the sunset, and the other one denotes the shadow. So we understood perfectly what each thing means. And they sometimes they put all these factors as gods. So they took all these aspects of nature and they put them as gods. So they did a very advanced, they created a very advanced system that's hard to explain. For example, the Chandikesa, right, where everybody went and they tapped their hands like this. It turns out that he's not a deaf god, right? If you go to even the priest in a temple, he'll say, "Oh, he's a deaf god. You always have to do this before you leave the temple." But I found in one of the inscriptions that Chandikesa was the treasurer of the temple. He's the deity who's in charge of all the properties of the temple. So when they start building the temple, and you can bring a lot of stuff, right? You can bring a lot of property and you can have all these tools and stuff. He's basically the security guard that's going to check you if you left everything in the temple and you're not taking away the temple's property. And that's why the ritual that, look, I'm not taking anything, right, from the temple started. So after 500 years, this just kind of modified and evolved into saying that, oh no, he's just a deaf god. Who's this god? He's just a deaf god.
Probably the true wisdom gets lost a little bit like Chinese whispers
Yes.
over time.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this video, here's a playlist full of videos kind of related to the one that you just saw. Enjoy.